Debbie doesn't.
That's a voter. I see it.
God, stop.
Didn't teach her, I just said.
Debbie, she will do it.
Are you listening, Dion? Are you listening?
She going up there to get the
Dion,
papers.
Yes, ma'am.
You ain't signed
Call
it.
the meeting to order. Everybody will stand for the pledge. He makes me laugh, see? Yeah, he does. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening, everybody. Just real quick, let's take our introductions. Adam?
I'm Adam. I'm the live stream guy.
Jansen Robinson, co-chair Edgewood.
Jim Lyons, Job Magnolia Volunteers in other locations, including Gloria Woods.
It's an inside joke, folks.
yeah, I'm Gloria Moon. Listen, when the, that is passed around to sign in, if you are already getting the notices, don't put your email down. Just pass it on. If you want the emails and you aren't getting them, please write very carefully. Okay, thank you.
And you are.
I'm Gloria Moon.
I'm Paula Mullis, I'm your chair.
Elizabeth Edgewood, Marion Morgan, Secretary, and Joppa.
That was, do I have a motion to approve the minutes, because we do have a quorum?
So moved.
Second? Everybody? Okay, so real quick, before we get started, I know that everybody's concerned because the meetings are starting to really run long because we have so much information to give out. So aside from our guest speaker, not our guest speaker, we ask everybody else to please keep their report at 10 minutes or less. And I'm gonna ask my timekeeper, is when it's 10 minutes, stand up. You see Ralph stand up, your time is up, we're done, let's move on and skip it. Because some people are leaving before because the meeting just runs like 2.5 or whatever hours. And I'm trying my best to keep it moving along as quickly as I can. But we always have so much information to cover, so if you would just help me out here, folks. Ralph, I'm depending on you. At 10 minutes, stand up. When you see him stand up, say thank you, folks. Okay. Proceed.
All right. All right.
Oh,
So,
hang on, I'm
Sure.
sorry, let's please do. We did. Oh, yes, you did. Yes.
Oh,
Never
where was
mind.
my brain?
It's hanging with him.
Oh, yeah, it's his fault.
Sorry.
so everybody, I'm Captain Gamble. I am the precinct commander. Who here came to the open house that we had over the 22nd? Good. Glad to see some hands. So we had a good turnout, very good turnout. I hope those of you that came found it at least informational and as well an enjoyable time while you were here. So calls for service, our total calls for service, and again, remember my statistics cover this snapshot in time, March 1st through the 28th, comparing this year to last year. So calls for service this year are down by 8% over the month of March. Crashes are up a little bit by 9%. We have had no rapes over this last month, no robberies. Assaults are down 20% over the last month, again, compared to last year. Burglaries are down 33%. Theft is up, as you know, I've talked about that. That's a trend that we're just dealing with right now. Only up by 7%, but it's still up. And last but not least, auto theft, and our auto theft is down this month compared to last year's numbers. So as far as notable cases, we did have a couple burglaries. One was to a vacant unit. No leads in that case right now. The second was a home that was burglarized, and the time in which it was burglarized, it was a short period of time. We do have video coverage of the perpetrator, and for those that live in Joppa, in and around the block of Chimney Oak, We should be reaching out to you to show you some photos here within probably, hopefully this week. This just happened last week, so we're getting that video back. We want to get that out because we feel that this may be somebody that lives in the area. So we're going to try to get that out to you. All right? Hopefully you can help us identify who this person may be. We did have one motor vehicle theft and one attempted motor vehicle theft over the last 30 days. The attempted, again, it is the trend that I've talked about. It was a Hyundai where they got into the vehicle, they broke the steering column and tried to start the vehicle. They were unable to do so, which is great. In this particular case, I think they may have had the upgrade for the software. And then we did have another one that was taken. That one was out of Joppa. The first one was in Edgewood. The second one that was actually taken was out of Joppa, and that was recovered in Baltimore County. So again, another trend that we're seeing these juveniles. Typically, it tends to be juveniles or younger adult males coming from, in this particular case, out of county, and then taking the vehicle probably back to where they were from, so they can get a ride back home. As far as bus citations, I know that was a topic that you guys wanted to hear. So February to March, 633, and our top two were looks like 30 and 28 different citations. One was Falston, Falston, and the other one was, I don't know that area. I don't know. I know the bus number, bus 859, and the other one was 839. But those are our two leaders. And as far as why, one is because 152, it's a heavily traveled route, a lot of cars, and people aren't stopping as they're coming the other way. The other one was Route 40, and another location is again Route 1. All three of those things in common is they're major thoroughfares, and people coming the opposite way don't necessarily know they have to stop. You double yellow line dividing the roadway. If there is no physical structure in between the lanes, you have to physically stop for the bus. So try to get that message out. All right, that's pretty much all I have. I have just a few more minutes. Yes, ma'am.
Barb Keelan from Joppatowne. I go a lot down to Mariner Park, and I've never had a problem before. But the last 2 weeks, around 4 o'clock, I've been seeing some strange, abnormal things.
Okay.
I was wondering about security down there. Is there any way that we can have someone even drive through? Maybe?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And I think that was brought up actually a little bit earlier as well. So I know I saw an email go out, I want to say closer to the weekend, I want to say Thursday of last week, we put something out. Because the weather's starting to change now, we're going to start seeing that. So we'll start having our patrol vehicles hit the park, towards the times that you spoke about. I know another time was brought up, so I'm going to make sure my day shift and my evening shifts are aware.
Great.
To make sure the post car makes his presence or her presence known in that location. I appreciate it. Thank you. And one other? Yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir. Bonta Miller from Edgewood. I have a question about who do we follow up with if we see an individual with an ankle monitor that's loitering around a plaza? Is there such a thing that they can be outside of the home?
It depends. Yes. Depending on what type of monitoring they have, if they're on home monitoring and they don't have certain stipulations in place, then they can go and they are allowed to go within a certain geographical location in and around where their residence is. Others, they are not. They're only allowed to leave the house during certain times of day, and that's only to go to and from a place of employment. So it kind of depends on the individual. If you have a question regarding that, there's no problem with reaching out to us, letting us know that you see somebody that you may believe may be suspicious because they have the monitor on or whatever. We can go out, we can find out, we can contact parole and probation and, you know, figure out their status, whether or not they're allowed to be out or not. So feel free to contact us. One thing I want to finish up with, and I'll take your question in a second, but real quick, and again, I've always been a big proponent. If you see something, say something, contact us. That's what we get paid to do. Don't feel bad about calling us. Don't feel bad about having us come out to investigate something. I can't do, or we can't do our job without your help. We need your help. So the more you're able to help us, the more we're able to help you. And I'll finish up with you.
Well, I wanted to ask, can I get cars that, people are hiding in my development? And the association said they can't do anything because they're not in the parking space, they're on the street, and they own, the county owns the streets.
Okay.
So is it the police that gets rid of them?
Well, yes, as long as it's a county street
It's a
and
county
not
street.
a HOA controlled street.
Right. So
If
what do I
it's a
have to do?
county, just call the precinct and tell them that there's an abandoned car there.
Okay.
Yep, or, and I believe I've left my card out.
Okay.
I have one here in my pocket, I should. I'll give you my card, just email me.
Okay.
Just email me and send me a picture if you want to of the
Okay.
car. And yep, I have it right here.
Okay.
So just send me a picture of the car and I'll send somebody out and have it taken care of.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, absolutely. And just so you know,
Can you stay just one more?
oh yeah.
Just one second.
I'm gonna plug you for a second.
Being attacked, Tom.
Congratulations on your retirement.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
And we want to present you with a councilman citation.
Oh my goodness.
Speak up, Dion. You only got 10 minutes.
No, this is not on my 10 minutes.
It's 10 minutes, about 30 seconds.
The Harford County Council legislative citation, be hereby known at PNF Guthrie, the County Council of Harford County, Maryland, on the first day of April 2024, was hereby recognized Captain Thomas E. Gamble, 25 years of service, Harford County Sheriff's Office. Your distinguished service of law enforcement in Harford County is commendable. We are grateful for your most recent duty to inform the Edgewood, Joppa, Joppatowne Community Advisory Board of issues of concern in our neighborhood. Thank you. Congratulations and best wishes for your future endeavors.
Dion again.
Pleasure.
Sir, thank you. Thank you.
Give her those and we'll get a picture.
Tom, can you smell a little bit?
Give me my gun with the red.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good job, Tom.
Thank you.
Yeah,
thank
one
you.
more, so,
One more.
yeah, go ahead.
Come here, come here.
Oh, one more?
No, not for you.
Oh, okay.
Don't ever do it. Mrs. Miller,
That would be you.
from 755 Alliance. See what you did? You know, a lot of times when we're so busy, these councilmen, we do a lot of things. Understand that a councilman represents 43,000 people per district. That's how it's up. And you can have a lot of issues in 43,000 people. And when you get an issue, sometimes an issue can take you several days to get it squared away. And it always takes help and people in the community to help you out to get something done. We had a lady, we won't use her name, but we had a lady in Edgewood who had some serious problems. She's disabled, and she's disabled from an accident that happened 2 years ago where two cars ran into the back of her. So it's clearly whose fault it was, and everybody agrees. And this case has been in court for 2 years. In a 2-year period, she hasn't been able to work. And her son has some problems too, and he's 19, and he lives there. Well, recently, and a lot of times I want to remind you all, if if you have an issue or you got a problem or you see it coming, try to call me the day before it happens, you know, the day before they do something, you know. So because I know when they cut your water off, okay, you usually get a lot of notices before they finally do cut it off. So she calls me up on the day they cut her water off. Now she's got no water, she's disabled, son's living there, and the emails I was getting from her were really difficult to read because they were lengthy, and you got copies of them. I was sending them to you too. And we were looking for help because they turned her water off, and you could read between the lines on this, all these emails. It looked like that the woman was suicidal. So, well, I was really nervous about that. So I got everybody on the county side. I'm calling all around. I got a hold of this lady here, Miss Miller, and you know, she runs with 755, her 755 group, who helps out citizens all the time. And I get a hold of her, and she went to work on it. She says, "Get me permission from the." We did that after 500 phone calls, it seemed like it. Anyway, we finally got the okay, and she came up from her group with a check for over $700 to carry her back water bills and bring her up to date. So I want to congratulate her in 755. We want to present her with this citation. Also, Harford County Council legislative citation be hereby known that the Governor of the Harford County Council on the first day of April does hereby recognize Bangtam Miller, 755 Alliance, upon learning of the local residents in critical need of water shortage and food in the community area. Your compassionate and swift assistance was key to resolution of this issue. Thank you, Mrs. Miller and 755 Alliance. The greatest of the community is the most accurate measure of compassionism action to its members. That was a quote from Coretta Scott King, by the way. So my congratulations to you.
And if I may just indulge 1 minute to say that our emergency fund is fully private donor supported, and that in addition to this case, on that same week, we halted 4 court-ordered evictions that took place on that Wednesday. So we accept referrals only through established agencies, but swift action is what we do, neighbor helping neighbor. And so I'm just proud that our group is in a position to be able to help community members in need. And they're all single parent families with young children in school.
Good job. Alright, so,
3 minutes.
at the last couple of meetings ago, all of us have been very, very concerned about the fact that the hospital is closed and have the grace, and the development that's going on. And, you know, we've been really talking about how is Upper Chesapeake gonna handle this, what are we gonna do with all the influx? And so I am really thrilled tonight to introduce Ken Ferrara, who is the Vice President of External Affairs at Upper Chesapeake, and he's gonna give us some answers.
So only 10 minutes, I have a 3-hour presentation.
Condense it down, 20 minutes.
My name's Ken Ferrara. I'm the Senior Vice President for Philanthropy and External Relations at Upper Chesapeake Health. And I'm going to talk a little bit today about what we've really deemed a year like no other. A year of immense change and immense ability for us to continue to care for the residents of Harford County. I'm going to talk a little bit about our relationship trying to become a high reliable organization. And if you think about airlines, you think about the nuclear energy agencies, they try to have zero harm, right? They fly millions of people a day across the United States, and we don't hear about things that we heard about back in the 70s with planes crashing, although that's not been the case recently with some of the problems with Boeing. But our goal is to provide, people come to us at a time of need, and we want to make sure that we can try to heal them and have no harm. And 10 years ago, I don't think the healthcare industry would be saying zero harm. But if you think about it, when you think about 1 out of every 4 hospital experiences in the state come through the University of Maryland Medical Center, we just had 1% of those. We got 99% right without any harm. That still means that there's thousands of people that would have had harm in a hospital, and that's just not acceptable. Here, I love to hear friends and neighbors helping friends and neighbors. We have just under 2,900 team members, just under 700 active medical staff, 315 licensed. We have 20 ambulatory and physician practice sites here in the county, and we saw 22,000 inpatients and short stay patients last year. We had 112 patient visits to our ambulatory practices, 74,000 emergency room visits, 81,000 primary care visits. This is something that's incredible, is 19,318 virtual outpatient visits. So that means you can be talking to your primary care provider in the comfort of your own home on follow-up care or just a routine checkup and get the care that you need. And then we had 2,000 virtual inpatient consults, connecting the patient with the right care in the right location at the right time, and just under 1,300 babies. This is our leadership team. Elizabeth Wise has been with us for a little over a little more than 2 years. Dr. Barretto is our Chief Clinical Officer. Dr. D'Alessandro is our Chief Nursing Officer. Tony Shiver has been with us for over 20 years. She's our Vice President for Human Resources. And then you can see the rest of the individuals who are up there. So I really want to talk about some programmatic impact, because I think that's really important. Like, what are we doing and what do we consider some of our signature services? So we oncology, cardiovascular, behavioral health, orthopedics and spine, and pulmonary and lung. Excuse me. That being said, and then that's all based on primary and ambulatory care, and then before you get into the hospital, we want to make sure we're right care, right location, and right time. The Kaufman Cancer Center just had its 10th anniversary. It opened up in 2013, November of 2013. This is the great thing about the Kaufman Cancer Center, is it's affiliated with the Greenbaum Cancer Center at the University of Maryland Medical Center, and that connects the residents of Harford County with truly academic care. They're able to have care that they would have had to travel outside of the county 10 years ago, right here in our own community. Something we're proud of, if you look at, this is around cancer mortality rates in Harford County in the state of Maryland. Harford County has a larger rate of cancer than the rest of the state. And 10 years ago, the mortality rate was significantly higher than it is today. And that was a 10.5% improvement in survivorship over 10 years, which was 2 times the state's average of improvement of 5.1% during that same period. We have a huge investment in behavioral health, and it's a comprehensive care continuum. And I'll talk a little bit about that. So if you think about behavioral health, there's really low acuity community care So they might be getting something by making a phone call to 1-800-NEXT-STEP, where they're talking to someone on the mobile crisis team. They might have a dispatch from mobile crisis into the community, meeting that person where they are. They can come to the Klein Family Center, which really is around access and immediacy to care coordination. And so if an individual is having behavioral health or mental health need, they can walk right in to the Klein Family Center, which is in Bel Air. I call it urgent care. I'm not the clinician in the group, but it's literally like going to an urgent care center. You're able to have someone, a nurse, check you for medical issues, meet with a psychological social worker and or a psychiatrist, and talk to that individual and determine what you may need on this continuum of care. If you might need to be there to have a stabilization, we have 8 stabilization beds where typical stay is about 5 days. These are different than going to the acute care setting in Aberdeen. These are individuals who, when they walk in, they're there and they're saying, I want help and I want to go in, and they can leave at any time. And those individuals go there. And I have a story that sticks out in my mind. I was rounding over at the crisis center, and one of the residents was there, and I asked her how her time was, and she was a fairly young individual, probably in her early 20s, and she said, well, I want to tell you my whole story. I've had an inpatient setting, and I called my psychiatrist because I felt something wasn't right, and the psychiatrist said, I'm not available tonight. You need to go to the Klein Crisis Center. They'll take care of you. It'll be a good experience. And she said I was scared because she had an involuntary admission, and it was a very different situation. She wasn't there to, I want to get help. She was put into a psychiatric bed. And she said, I thought about it overnight. I woke up in the morning and I drove and I sat in the parking lot for a couple of hours. And I finally got the courage to come in, and I was treated with respect and dignity. And I've been here 3 days, and I have a place if I'm not having the best time and I know that I might need some help, to have a place to come. And that's a story. That's the story when you think about it. That's open 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., 7 days a week. Behavioral health crisis beds are open 24/7. And then we can give care coordination. What's the next place that someone needs to go? Do they need?
Yeah. Question. Is
Sure.
that just in Aberdeen? Okay,
The one I'm talking about now is right in Bel Air, and I'll talk about Aberdeen because Aberdeen has the full gamut of stuff. Right, because if you have behavioral health or mental health need, going through the emergency department isn't probably the best place for you to enter the system. It's challenging. So when you think about acute care, we talk about Aberdeen. We have a psychiatric hospital, behavioral health pavilion on the 2nd floor of Aberdeen, above where the emergency department is and the short stay beds are. And there are 33 that are there. And they're broken into neighborhoods. Everyone has their own individual room, places for them to come out in the middle of the day. And it's very much a healing environment. A lot of natural light, etc. And then sort of post-acute care, we have what's called a partial hospitalization program in Aberdeen, which is I need continued help, and it may be 5 days a week, a couple hours a day, 5-6 hours a day, where I'm coming back until I get myself better. And then we have an outpatient mental health clinic there as well, both in Aberdeen and in Bel Air. I want to talk a little about the impact. We had 22,000 calls since the center opened in 2019 on the 1-800-NEXT-STEP line. We determined that there's been about 376 people diverted from the hospital to ED by using mobile crisis. The youngest person was 5 years old. The oldest person was 93. We have over 14,000 people who've walked in to do an urgent care visit. Just under 16,000 individuals in outpatient visits. We've had over 5,285 residential days in our crisis beds since the opening in 2019. So you talk about community COVID levels from anxiety or depression. Obviously, in the COVID year, that rose. People did not want to be isolated, and that created more anxiety. Now we've seen a flattening out in 21 and 22, but we've had a 46% decrease from the COVID peak. A 29% decrease in pre-depression related hospitalizations from pre-COVID levels to 2022 was around 7,300 patient days for depression. And when you think about this continuum, I call this the inverted pyramid. Oh, I don't know what I just did.
Uh-oh.
There we go. This is the inverted pyramid. The top is serving the most individuals, and from a cost perspective, the least costly for healthcare. This is the acute setting where someone's admitted into the hospital, and then in between there's outpatient therapy and telehealth, the urgent care. Before we closed Harford Memorial, we had intensive outpatient clinic there, and now that's moved to Aberdeen. In our primary care sites, in many of them, there's an embedded mental health worker who will talk to their people are screened as they go to their primary care. They're asked like 5 questions, and based on how they score those questions, they're then referred to the mental health counselor, and then finally the residential beds in the emergency department. Primary care, I mentioned earlier, we had 10,000 new patients have accessed primary care at University of Maryland Upper Chesapeake Health in the past 30 months. And then we talk about a year like no other. That front building right there, that faces 22, is the Anna and James Lambden Health and Wellness Center. Inside that center, there is radiology, there is a human clinic, there is a lab, there is oncology, cardiology, orthopedics, rehab, outpatient rehab. I think that's it. I think I got them all. And wound care, that's what I missed. The emergency department in Aberdeen has 24 beds, including 5 geriatric focus beds. And those rooms have some natural light that comes in. The floors are a little bit softer. Geriatric patients tend to fall, so we're trying to make it easier on them. There's 4 behavioral health rooms there in the emergency department, and those rooms are in the main emergency department, and they're there. They can either be a behavioral health room, or they can be a regular room where we're just seeing a patient for another medical condition. But we can convert that room in about 30 seconds to a behavioral health room, versus in Bel Air, for example, it could take up to 30 minutes because of gases and stuff. We have a way that a door comes down and covers all the gases, etc. Behavioral health facility has 33 behavioral health beds. We have room to expand it 7 more beds, and then we have 17 observation and short stay beds with the room to expand that 7 more to the future. In Bel Air, we just added 72 beds above the cancer center on the floors. That third floor is shelled for future acute care and/or cancer center expansion. We've been able to upgrade some of our support service infrastructure and our cafeteria and our emergency room reception area is in the process of being rehabbed and will open up later in the month. The expanding are open later in the month of this month, beginning of next month. And then finally, our last asset that will open sometime at the beginning of May will be a 60,000 square foot state-of-the-art freestanding ambulatory surgery center and ambulatory institute that'll house our orthopedics, hand, spine practices, rehab, as well as have, we have today, if you had an outpatient surgery, you would be inside the hospital. As we move to this future state, the outpatient surgeries will be here, which will decant some of the volume that's in the hospital in the regulated space, and then allow us to provide care. I always think it's amazing. I remember being in the 8th grade, I had my appendix out, and I was there for 5 days. If you had your appendix out today, depending when you got there, you're probably going home that day. It's amazing. There's individuals who on the same day walking out of the hospital, literally walking out of the hospital with a new name. So the technology has changed, how we care for the patient has changed, the ability to get them back into their life is moving forward.
Is that the building on Tollgate and McPhail Road?
It is the building on Tollgate and McPhail Road.
Okay.
So February 6th, we transitioned services from Harford Memorial either to the Bel Air campus or to the Aberdeen campus. We work very closely with Harford County's Department of Emergency Services to safely and efficiently transfer patients to Bel Air and Aberdeen. This was no small feat, to say the least. There were all right, I'm done. This was no small feat. We had 3 routes to get the patients safely to either Aberdeen or to Bel Air. And we had 3 routes because on February 6th, we expected a snowmageddon. We didn't get snowmageddon, but we got a massive tractor trailer accident that closed 95 that morning. So before 6 a.m., we were looking at our alternatives to move the patients. We used, in partnership with Howard County Department of Emergency Services, an ambulance bus was provided to transport our patients receiving behavioral health care. The bus, which can accommodate 18, provided 2 round trips for 4 patients at a time for those patients. And some words from our system CEO and County Executive Casserly. But I know that everyone wants to hear how we're handling volume. And the good thing is, if you look at the blue line, about 3 months ago, 90% of the patients were put into our care from an ambulance in 78 minutes. That is nothing to be proud of. And we were not proud of it. This has been a statewide initiative. Locally, we've been able to drive that down from 78 minutes to 35 minutes with a median time of 18 minutes. And that's as of last week, which is significantly better, still not the best. But as I was talking to our nurse leader today, I said, I have to talk about this today, and I know this much. Can I get the PhD in this in the next 10 minutes? I may have only gotten to my master's degree, but the story here is we're making progress, and it's still not perfect, but having a median time of 18 minutes is significantly better. And I looked at all the raw data over the last 2 weeks, and what I was amazed about was you saw sometimes, you know, it's 18 minutes means 50% of the people are faster than 18 minutes, 50% of the people are longer than 18 minutes. And I said, well, you know, there's some outliers. Why would there be outliers? There could be, at one time, 3 ambulances coming in at once, and we're already jam-packed in the emergency department, or 10 ambulances at once. It's hard to do that, and that's unpredictable. So
Probably need another hospital.
that is not a choice that's gonna happen, because when you look at it, just when you think about what this, I said, well, tell me the difference here. When we were at 78, we were averaging about 270 ambulance visits at the emergency department. Over the past several weeks, we've been over 300. And even with that, we've been able to drive down the time. The emergency department is the front door, but that's not always the real problem. The real problem is around 2 things: length of stay, how long it takes someone to stay in the hospital. We want someone to be in the hospital 3 days or less, 3.5 days or less. The length of stay has been higher over the last several months, even through COVID. The length of stay has gotten a little bit longer. And when you have a longer length of stay, right, I talked about when I was in the hospital in the 8th grade, and I was there for 5 days. Well, that's too long, right? Like nowadays it's too long. And when you think about Harford Memorial, it had 250 beds at one point, but the average length of stay was 10 days. So when you have days of people in the hospital, it takes time to decant that, and that decants over a couple of different ways. One, we're individuals with social determinants of health, so we don't have a safe place to discharge them. We can't get them into a SNF. We can't get them to where they need to be. That is not a hospital problem. That's a healthcare system, society problem. So we appreciate that the county entrusts us with their health care. And as you can see, we continue to work towards improving our offload times. Happy to take any questions.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
So this is based on the population that we have now. We have all of this building going on. So when the explosion goes like, you know, Ridgely's Reserve, and whatever, we get all of this massive influx of people, then what are we gonna do?
So just like we did in Bel Air, we continue to expand where we can expand. And we live in a state that you're required to have a certificate of need. And what a certificate of need is that the Healthcare Cost Review Commission says, this is what you can have, this is what you can't have. So we have to work within that. Yes, sir.
First, thank you. You're taking good care of my mother-in-law. Second, I presume the University of Maryland, being the largest healthcare hospital group in the state, has a lot of influence on that certificate of need panel. And we get reports every month of people in County or Baltimore County. My mother-in-law was in the line behind 10 ambulances not too long ago. How do you influence that to get the beds and the emergency rooms where the problems are?
So, right care, right location, right time, right? That's the goal. And when you look at what Aberdeen, for example, the Aberdeen Emergency Department, we believe we've done the right things to make sure that it's the right location, the right time, and the right care. Every one of those emergency department rooms, there's the ability to do telehealth. And that is a huge ability to make sure that person's getting the right care at the right location. Because there's things that, as a community hospital, we can't do in Bel Air, that we need to move that person to the right location. That right location might be the medical center, it might be Midtown, it might be St. Joe's, because they need open heart surgery. We are highly coordinated at the University of Maryland Medical System to make sure that we're using all of the healthcare assets throughout the state to make sure that person's getting the right care. Because it's really hard. You know, I personally would not want to be at a place where a neurosurgeon's doing 1 case a day. I want to go to a place where the neurosurgeon's doing 5 cases a day, 5 days a week, or 10 cases a day, et cetera, et cetera.
I appreciate that, but every time an ambulance has been to my house, unfortunately for Lisa, we're talking about code yellow and code red and where they can go next. How does that get solved?
That's a statewide issue. Because that's not just a Harford County issue.
I know.
It's a Baltimore County issue, it's a Cecil County issue. In Cecil County, they just closed their radiation. So we know that we're getting patients that are coming from Cecil County for radiation that are
And the increase in beds with that, and then we had a hospital closed down in Havre de Grace with so many beds. With that closing down and with the ones you added, what can you tell us what the increase in the beds were? Is that possible?
It is. And you're asking me to remember the exact number. It's somewhere, it's close. We're gonna play horseshoes. I'm gonna get close to the number because I have a lot of numbers in my head. But it's somewhere in the neighborhood of 15 to 20 because we have 17 that were in Aberdeen as observation beds, and then 72 beds in Bel Air. So that's 87 beds, which is more beds than we had med-surg beds at Harford Memorial.
We have somebody online asking why it takes over 10 hours to be seen in the ER.
So unlike going to I'll just use it to get a haircut or to go to a restaurant. Going to the ER is not first come, first serve. And we're sorry it's not first come, first serve, but it's based on the acuity of that patient. So the patient that has a higher acuity, because they're triaged as they come in, and so while it's a discomfort for someone to have to be there for 10 hours, the reality is that person's not moving because there's someone else who's a priority based on their current health conditions.
Is the emergency room done yet? Because I know y'all were redoing everything. Is it done?
It's not fully open yet. The expanded area is not fully open. And I can't believe how big the expanded area is. But just having a bigger emergency room doesn't make things faster. I wish it did.
Did you have another question? Because you had your hand up.
I can't remember that.
Tom Taylor, Joppatowne. Due to loss of medical personnel because of the COVID fiasco, have you guys learned your lesson?
I don't think I answered that. That's above your pay grade, I think.
It's well above my pay grade. But I can tell you this, there are in this country 300,000 less nurses than's needed, and growing. The population, our age of our country hasn't gotten any younger, and the individuals needing care have grown significantly.
Are you looking to do like any type of primary care or acute care here in this part of the county? Because we don't have anything like that would have like a lot of the services that the community possibly need.
Yes, I know we're running a clinic up here with the health department, and as we are trying to invest more and more in primary care, and all the way up here, and the whole Route 40 corridor is an area that we're looking at.
So at this point, I could just go in and get it right here.
Right here, no.
You talk about at the Woodbridge, at the place they opened in Woodbridge, is that what you're talking about?
No, I'm just talking about in Edgewood or down.
Yeah, Woodbridge is the only one that's local,
Correct.
but you're right, it's not the primary care.
But is it enough that they can provide, most of the services that you?
they can get you all the things that you need up front, and then you may have to go to a different location to get
Hang on
special
a
care.
second, because we have another question, go ahead.
So, Denise,
Her
I
and then you.
I'm Felicia Hopkins, Harford County Health Department. They do have a clinic that is open on Mondays at Woodbridge. However, I know that the last time I spoke with Vicky Bands and those that are actually there, they aren't seeing the numbers that they need on a weekly basis. Even with acute services like the flu, you can go and get checked just as though you were going to another primary care physician. Maybe it is that the word needs to get out more. People don't know about it. I have some flyers that people can hear about it, but this is like, I guess, the first step for them to see, you know, are people actually going to come and actually going to utilize these services before they go ahead and have more primary care physicians in the area. The other concern is the OBGYNs and not having to go out of the county for those that are, for lack of a better word, culturally competent for us in our community. So yes, there is. It's Woodbridge Mondays. I think they take walk-ins.
Is that for everything or just
they do, so clinical health also do, not OB, but GYN appointments, and those are walk-ins and appointments as well, and that's at Woodbridge, and they do a variety of services.
I think we had somebody from Woodbridge, I remember, came out and told us about the clinic and.
Yeah, and Denise, honestly, I didn't even know all of what the health department actually did until I actually was there working there. So, but that's one of those things that they do, but we need to amplify it more.
Exactly.
I'm sorry, you next.
So I have two questions. The first one would be, so going along with the question that was asked about the weight in there, and we don't, I don't know why I had to sit when they knew that part, but like, because the person is saying, this is what I had, this is what I'm feeling, doesn't necessarily mean that there really isn't a serious emergency, and every time an ambulance comes in, they get, you know, people get pushed, and it's like, when do they say, we can't keep pushing somebody because it might actually be more serious than when they said, oh, my stomach is hurting, and just because at that moment they didn't, you know, they weren't flushed or whatever, but, you know, like, how does that get changed? Because something definitely has to.
Sorry you had to wait. I cannot answer that because I am not a clinician. I do play one on TV, but I cannot answer that. I cannot answer that in good faith. So I'm very sorry you had to wait.
But it's not just for myself. I mean,
No, I understand completely. I mean, one of the things that we continuously are doing, and I just spent the last 3 months as part of our HRO rounds in the emergency department, and we're constantly looking for ways to improve the flow of patients and how we deal with patient flow to make sure that we can care for every patient that's there.
Hold on, Ron, you had a question?
Yeah, I just want to play devil's advocate here, being part of the system and knowing what's going on down there, and Jim knows too. Part of the problem here we have, well, it's everywhere across the United States, but even in Harford County, number one, people are calling 911 unnecessarily. You got an earache, you got a headache, you know, you can't see right. Calling an ambulance going to the hospital is going to increase your wait time. Go to one of the doc in a box, so to speak. Okay, and if it's 3 o'clock in the morning, you can. I'm sure you can wait it out. And I'm saying this. We see it all the time. Jim and I rode night shift many times, from 11 p.m. to 6 a.m. And I can't tell you how many calls people were quick. People need to be educated. You got a small group here. Pass the word around. Don't call 911 unless it's really urgent, or your doctor says to. That's part of the problem for this backup. And we've seen, and I'll tell you, over the past month, there's been 6 or 7 ambulances backed up at Upper Chesapeake because of problems like, I mean, and some of the patients are serious, but they can't even get the serious patients in because there's non-serious patients that are blocking the way. And just,
But it need transportation too? Because a lot of people have none.
Just
and at
for
3
information,
o'clock in the
right, as of right
morning,
now,
there's no bus.
Johns Hopkins baby was on complete bypass. It's been that way for 22 minutes. Northwest Hospital just went on complete bypass. University American Medical Center has been on bypass for 22 minutes. Means nobody can go in there. They have no beds, no doctors, no nothing to take care of anybody at this point. And I happen to Upper Chesapeake, unfortunately, quite often, where we have to bypass the hospital and go elsewhere. And let me tell you, people in the other county, Baltimore County, Harford County, they don't want to take our patients either because they've got patients to take care of. Like I'm trying to say here, use common sense. Okay, if it's not an emergency, a true emergency, a headache is not a true emergency. Okay, unless your head is swelling and you fell against your head, that's a different story. Because the plain old headache is not.
Gloria?
Yeah, I have a question about.
I drive past that a lot, I always presumed it was shut, it's never open, there's never a light on. A sign with open 9 to 5 somewhere on the street, Mondays, might actually get you some people to come in.
Okay, anybody else?
Yes.
Let's take one more question.
I have a suggestion in regards to both of your comments. Could they have some kind of announcement, like
As far as when to call 911, not to call 911. If you watch Harford cable TV at all, there are blurbs in there all the time. I make sure they're on there. I'm on the board of directors for Harford TV, so I know they're on there and I see them. But again, it's a matter of the right people watching at the right time. And again, you lead a horse or whatever. That's part of the problem.
All right, hang on a minute, Jim. Well,
So my question was, is it a statewide, alert for the hospitals? So in her case, if they're overwhelmed at Upper Chesapeake, Bel Air, Aberdeen, and you have to move these patients around from hospital to hospital, each month we hear that there's a lack of transportation for us, ambulance, the beds, and blah, blah, blah. If Upper Chesapeake is on high alert with a 10-hour wait, is it a way that they can be transported to another hospital to be seen in less time?
So it's MIMS, correct? MIMS determines where the individual's gonna go.
When they do a consult, they tell them where to go. If they're consulting with the hospital and
I'm sorry?
at that time.
So, okay, so one of the answers is yes, don't call the ambulance when you get hit or, certain things, but there are a lot of people who, because of finances and financial issues, they can't take themselves somewhere. They're scared. Something feels really wrong, and they need to go to an urgent care. Well, one, there's none open they shouldn't take up that ambulance when somebody with a heart attack needs it. But at the same time, somebody that has a really bad headache could be literally having an aneurysm, and they don't know. So
It could be, and again, it's a catch-22 and we're talking majority of the people, we're not talking,
Right.
there's obviously gonna be exceptions to it, okay? We're human beings, everybody's got a different health system, things go wrong. We're talking majority of people that we get the calls from, and we take them to the hospital, and they're calling for somebody to pick them up before we even leave the hospital, because they're already discharged. These are the kind of calls that we're trying to avoid.
maybe Harford County needs to come up with something.
But I understand your situation.
Hang on a second.
That's different.
Jim, go ahead, and then you're gonna last question, because we really need to move on.
Just how is the hospital can continue to handle the red alerts and the bypasses that were being and under the minutes guideline, when they call in on the radio and give the patient condition and you're on a red or yellow alert or bypass, the next closest hospital is Franklin Square, and if they're on a bypass, you go right back to Upper Chesapeake and wait it out. That's how it works. You don't get redirected to St. Joe or some other place. That's how the system works. So I don't know what.
I don't have the solution.
Yeah. So,
I don't have that solution. I do know that it's a
that's the real crux of the problem, because they hear me repeat some of that stuff on a monthly, just to give people an update. And I've also told them, for God's sake, go to the docking box and avoid something. If you got a hangnail or sore a toe or whatever, or toothache, go to the docking box. But they're not open 24/7.
Correct.
Maybe that's the solution.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say, is there's a possibility that the county can look into expanding their hours of operation for the dock in the box for the people who wanna go to them.
So I'll tell you, let me just tell you, just for those folks who don't know, at our June meeting, our guest speaker is the county executive. So that might be one of the issues you might bring up.
So, you guys
One at a time.
are you all have
Hang on, one second.
plans to expand the beds availability in the ER for the borders, that you just decided the borders, so you can take this influx? Because there's more construction going on in the county, and some of these high-rise apartments are gonna bring 1,000 people in.
Yep.
All right, that's 1,000 people we don't have right now. All right, and that's, this little construction here, this apartment house there, just starts to add it in, and that's what's going on, and it's happening in Franklin Square's here territory either, and White Marsh and all with the construction. There's more bodies being brought in. So what's the plans from Upper Chesapeake or the University of Maryland's of trying to get certification to expand or create another Aberdeen situation, you know, like down here in Edgewood, you know, create an Aberdeen type situation in Edgewood, Joppa, so there's extra space to take care of the push of patients, because you're not gonna get more people in and not have less calls.
Let him answer. Got an answer?
No, I think that answer is longer than a minute. And I wish I could stay here all night and talk about this, but I think the issue is that it's multifaceted, right? It's everything from behaviors of individuals, not seeking health care at the right moment, at the right time, right? Seek primary care. You know, I spoke earlier around having 10,000 new patients. That means we've invested in primary care, and we will continue to invest in primary care. We believe that investing in primary care is critically important. We have 3 urgent care centers, one in Aberdeen, one in Fallston, and one in Forest Hill. And they're open essentially 12 hours a day, where you can go and you can use it as your primary care. I would probably say try to get a full-time physician as your primary care person versus someone who's just there for that urgent care need if you couldn't get into your regular physician. The second thing is we constantly are evaluating what we need to do to deliver healthcare here in the county. We do, and I think it's every 3 years with the health department, we do a community health assessment and that's how we make our plans for the next 3 to 5 years based off of that assessment. What do we need?
Okay.
Can I ask something real quick?
Just the last question, because then we've got a list of speakers, and then you're gonna yell at me because the meeting goes over.
I've lived in Edgewood all of my life, since 1977, which compared to some, but how come it seems like whenever something is being built, something is being done, those services seem to be in areas where the people are not in the, what's the word, in the society, people, like this area never gets anything done. Like, your people are trying to find a place in the Woodbridge Center inside of a health department, whereas you guys are building buildings that are really easy to see in places where money is at, more money. The places that don't have it, we're not getting that stuff at all. And I think that says a lot about what the county officials feel about these areas, these people down here. And it's really sad because know, our taxpayer dollars are helping other places, not getting those services.
Make it quick.
I'll comment on that,
Yeah.
and that the certificate about that the whole area hospitals from Anne Arundel County to Howard, that decides whether Harford County can have one more bed or 10 more beds, or no. There's empty beds down Mercy Hospital, not to pick on Mercy, but down in the city, there's empty beds that you can fill in, right? And they look at that and say you can take them down there, but MIMS does not allow the emergency service folks to run them down to Mercy. Just,
Like I
just
say here,
pick it out
yeah.
for your information. So that's why you're not getting something here. What, now that, the rest of that's up to.
Urgent care, that's what I'm talking about, urgent care.
So, I think,
Yeah.
you know, all this, let's put a pin in it, because one,
Right.
we're holding this guy accountable to some control.
As I said.
I have some control, but it's not a lot of control.
He's got something to take back at least.
Somewhere the demand here will be coming through the system to justify the need certification. So what I'd ask, and Mr. Cassidy when he comes, beyond whoever, who from Maryland State needs to come here and stand in his position and answer the questions about why we don't have a need certificate that gets a hospital built in Edgewood and Joppatowne, where you have the majority of the population to serve the needs of these people. Now, the other thing I'll say is, when I was a kid, people died at home. Nobody called an ambulance. You didn't never go in the ambulance. My mother said, rub some dirt on it, you'll be all right.
We have Mercurochrome, you will fix.
That's right. He stayed home.
Yeah, you're always hanging out, they put Mercurochrome on you, and back out. Yeah, well, we appreciate it, and I know.
Ran from the hospital.
I know there's questions you can't answer, but we appreciate the information you have brought. Again, the county executive will be here in June. These are questions we can ask him, that he may be able to answer for us, so this gentleman can. And we appreciate what you have shown us today. We really do, and appreciate all that you do.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity to come and speak, and I appreciate the opportunity to hear what the needs are. You know, my one role is philanthropy, and my other role is external relations, and making sure that we hear from the citizens that we have the pleasure to serve, and we want to make sure that you have the right care at the right location at the right time. And I can tell you that there's significant conversation. Sometimes you just can't open a building. You need doctors to fill that building. And as easy as it might be, it's not. For us to get a cardiologist, or recruit a new cardiologist, it took us 2 years, and they're not starting for another year. So that's 3 years. So we are constantly recruiting physicians to make sure that they're just not minting, you know, more and more physicians. It's unfortunate, but they're just not. So we have to be very focused on how we deliver care, and we want to make sure that we're delivering care to the entire community.
What I will ask you is, you know, we don't meet in July and August, but sometime in the fall, can we have you come back out again to give us a further update on what's happening with the buildings or the expansions?
Sure, I'd be happy to do that.
Okay. Very good.
All right, thank you. Well, we should clap.
It's not throwing tomatoes, right?
You can tell we have a very interactive community. So now for the rest of us.
Just real quick, sorry to everybody having internet connection issues. So if you can hear this, sorry, I'm working on it. Go ahead.
All right, so for the rest of our speakers, when you see well, stand up. Yeah, all right. Ken, thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Pat, I don't see Cynthia, who usually speaks for you, so would you like to say a few words?
Sure, that's
For anybody that doesn't know, this is Pat Vicente. He is the county council president.
And if I may, before Ken walks out of the room, I want you to all understand the great work that he and all the team at Upper Chesapeake do every day on behalf of all the citizens. I have the great fortune, or unfortunate, ability to be in the emergency room from time to time and see the work that they do. And I think it's important, as Jim related to, it's not their decision. It's a state medical decision decisions whether you get more beds or not. And unfortunately, with all the power that the county executive has, he can't bring more beds to this county without the Maryland Health Commission. So I just wanted to say that before you go.
Appreciate that. Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Have a good
you.
evening.
Well, with that, somebody will have to get in contact with us if we get some.
And get him in.
It's them, it's a group.
I'll make a phone call, see if I can get Maryland, somebody from Maryland State to come out. and talk to us.
I've been here the whole time.
I know, and I'm sorry.
That's all right. Listen, I'm gonna be brief, because I know Dion is gonna cover just about everything. What he doesn't, Aaron's gonna cover, but I just wanted to take a minute.
He's got Debbie doing for him now.
Yeah, I just wanted to take a minute. It's rare that I get out to the CAB meetings. I go to every one in the county from time to time. I try to bounce around from all of them. I haven't been here probably in a year. My team at the office is at every meeting across the county. And they bring everything back to me. What I don't hear from Dion or others, I get it from. If I just thought I would stop down tonight, I know there's a lot of things going on. Dion has a piece of legislation that we're introducing tomorrow night in reference to the grading permit. He's tried a couple of occasions, but there were some setbacks with some of the things that were going on with fines and penalties and trying to enforce some of the stuff that was going on. The county executive and I had several conversations about it. Dion knew that it was going to come on the first meeting in April, and I'm honoring my word to him. It'll be on the agenda tomorrow night, along with another floodplain piece of legislation that talks about all of your equipment outside of a home. If you're in the floodplain, it's going to have to be elevated, and some other things. I don't have the full agenda with me tonight. I mean, I do, it's on the table. I can't remember everything that's on there, but I thought I would just take a minute and come. If there were any questions of me directly, I would try to answer them real quick. I love it, no questions. I am gonna say one thing. This past council meeting, the county executive and I, prior to, had a meeting for about 2 hours, he and I, out of the office alone, just the two of us. We talked about a lot of the contention in the county, and I told him I would do my best to try to curb some of it in the council chambers where I have control. I asked my colleagues to be mindful of their comments, personal attacks on individuals, and I asked the citizens to do the same. And this past 10 days, I've gotten a lot of pushback from some of our citizens who believe that I'm stepping on their First Amendment rights. And that is not the case at all. The case that I'm trying to put forward, the atmosphere that I'm trying to create as council president is to make sure that when you come to one of the few venues that you have as a citizen in this county, to your council chambers, when you come with a question or a concern, I want to make sure that you have a civil, a respectful, and a safe environment to be able to ask your questions and talk. That's my purpose. That's why I did what I did. I'm going to open up council meeting tomorrow night with that comment. Hopefully, people will understand what my intent is. That is a place for the business, for the citizens, and for the county, and it's not a place for personal attacks.
We appreciate that.
Okay.
And thank you so much for coming to Edgewood.
You got the president here, boy.
Well, there's a
Catch you by surprise.
Hang on one second, we have
I'll
somebody,
let it go.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
You mentioned floodplain.
Yes, ma'am.
So if the community is in a floodplain area, how are they looking to handle that?
Honestly, I don't know. We're going to introduce it tomorrow night, and over the next 30 days, we're going to take a look at it, dissect it, answer any type of questions that people may have. It'll be made public for you or anyone else that wants to go through and take. Yes, it is.
So, I mean, if we do it at the council, then the council members who come to our meeting will have updates,
Yes.
they'll know what it is. Once
Yes.
they figure out what they're doing, then Dion or Aaron will be able to answer
Yes.
questions.
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am. It starts at 7 o'clock. Well, actually, we have a public hearing at 7:15. We have a public hearing, what's that? Oh, yeah, fire lanes. Mr. Penman's been very involved with that. He'll probably speak to that tonight. Anything else? Any other questions? If not, I'm gonna start making my way back to Churchville.
Thank you again for coming and visiting with us, and we'll do it.
Absolutely, I'll see you. call me tomorrow and tell me which way is the right way or the wrong.
Oh, yeah, I will.
You asked for that.
Hey, I'm open for that. I really am, you know that.
Yeah.
Lenora, you're on.
Thank you. That meeting is online tomorrow night, isn't it?
I think
Yes.
so.
Yes, tomorrow night.
How do you access it?
Go to the Harford County government website and the county council, and you can get a link there.
County.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Watch
Okay.
it live, or you can watch it the next day, or.
All right. Good.
Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you enjoyed Good Friday and your Easter time. Some of the traffic was not heavy today because of April Fool's Day. I know we're being timed, and I want to be able to provide information from our county executive, so I'm going to ask the board if they would just share the information there. It's a lot of information, but I've tried to condense some of the information that the county executive is sharing with us. Our county executive and all of Harford County, I'm sure, sends their prayers out. Harford County's team of our first responders who are specially trained in water rescue operations were on their way to help. Our county executive sends special thank you out to the first responders who were on the scene for their life-saving efforts. When I heard Harford County's team there, I was really pleased about that because we're a part of saving lives as well as any other county and location. So if anything, we should really commend ourselves on being a part of that. But the county executive sends his sincere thanks to all of the responders. The fiscal year of 2025, the county executive is giving a budget update. Harford County's income tax revenue for the current year has come in well below the anticipated levels. We cannot ignore this unexpected decline in revenues and the softening of the state and national economies and their local impact. We must continue to live within our means. On April 15th, which is a Monday, the budget information will be posted on the county website. And each time I come to give the county executive's information, I mention the county website. Some people this evening are not here, but if you go to the website, which is the www.harfordcountymd.gov, that information is there. The budget management information is there. Also, if you watch Harford's TV, inside Harford County, which is April 17th and the 24th. The budget for year 2025 will be available there. The program will air live from 7 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. April 17th, and it will be rebroadcast the following Wednesday, which is April 24th. We want to be able to protect the land development. Our county executive is working with the Harford's Agricultural Preservation Program, which pays landowners not to develop their land with funding from the county's tax on property title transfers. Based on recommendations from our stockholders work group and with support from the county council, we recently revised the program to include all zoning destinations and expand its geographically diversity. The county executive also reduced the minimum property size 50 to 20 acres and added forests, woodlands, and streams to the ranking of the system. Again, I reiterate, go to the county website so you can get detail by detail. For our first responders, there is an act that's being developed for mental health. They go through a lot of stress to help each and every one of us. As we saw just last week, the first responders regularly face life and death situations putting them at a higher risk for mental. With more than 2,800 career and volunteer fire and EMS responders, 911 telecommunications, and law enforcement officers in Harford County, the county executive, this administration is offering a new app to help their physical and mental health. The Lighthouse Health and Wellness app connects first responders and their families to resources tailored to their needs, including mental health services, events, articles, and daily messages of support. We want to be able to make this anonymous and confidential app. This will be available to our first responders at no cost. So your county executive is looking out for everyone that is helping each and everyone in Harford County. We do have the National Take Back Day, which is April 27th. Help us keep prescription drugs from falling into the wrong hands or harming the environment by dropping off your unwanted medications for safe disposal. You can do that on Saturday, April 27th. Time is 10 a.m. to 2 p.m.
That's Upper Chesapeake.
If you cannot do that, you can always go to 220, which is 220 South Main Street, the administration building, to do that as well. There's a volunteer fair coming up April 30th, so the whole month of April is full of different things. Helping others, bringing our own lives, and strengthening the entire county. We want to be able to foster this spirit in Harford County. This administration is organizing a volunteer fair. We have community organizations seeking volunteers, and volunteers that are interested in serving are welcome to attend from 2 to 5 p.m. on a Tuesday, which is April 30th, at the McFalls Activity Center in Bel Air. It's not far from the MDV building for that. That will be April 30th from 2 to 5, and registration is going to be free, and you will have a table made available. We have a Veterans Corner, the month of the military child. April is the month of the military child, and in Harford County, we have 2,200 military members at Aberdeen Proving Ground. Plus, we have the Reserve and National Guards family. Military children face unique challenges because they're moved from pillar to post. Their parents are deployed. These frequent moves and navigating from school to school, getting into new schools, new neighborhoods, and new support services. So the county executive has this administration and the local veteran service organizations are here to tell you there's going to be help. For resources, we want you to the webpage. There's a Veterans Commission, and Harford County Community Services will provide that information. If you need more in-depth information, contact Bob Brown, our Veterans Resource Coordinator. Email address is R, like in red, Brown, at Harford County MD, like Mary and David, .gov, or call 443-966-4518. The flyers that are going around, you have that information, but again, please go to the website. We want to be able to keep Harford County beautiful, so everybody's going to pitch in. Our crews pick up more than 125,000 pounds of trash. 125,000 pounds, 1,250 pounds of trash, 27,000 pounds of recycling, and nearly 400 tires this year along 900 miles of the county roads. So you can pitch in by putting the litter where it's supposed to go in its place and encouraging others to do the same. It's nothing more unsightly than to go someplace and you see trash all over the place. My buddy said, I gotta get down and tell me this. He's making the county executive person to sit down. Now, you know that takes a lot of guts.
You can't do that to her. You can't do that to her.
Those are to the councilman, so you
Okay.
don't take it.
In either case, thank you. Planting a tree for Arbor Day. Since 2003, Harford County has planted 33,000 trees for our annual Arbor Day. In our department, planning and zoning is working on that again this year. I'm going to cut this short because you could go to the website and get the information. I don't want the gentleman over there to have any type of issues with me because I have to come back next month. Thank you so very much.
Wait, Laura, hang on. I want to piggyback on something you just said. For this drug, prescription drugs.
Yes.
For anybody that cannot make it that day, if you want to get rid of your prescription drugs, the Walgreens is on the corner of Abingdon Road and Singer Road.
Okay.
Hasn't been right in front of the pharmacy department because I took a bunch of medications up there last week.
Okay, that's good information to know.
No, Jim said give them to him and easy.
But no, it's the Walgreens, it's right on the corner. Because I had asked the CVS here and they said that when I called, they said the one in Abingdon and I took prescriptions up.
Okay, great.
Inside, right in front of the pharmacy department.
This evening we have fewer people here. Normally it's wall-to-wall people. Flyers that were passed around, there's only about 25 of each one of these. And once again, if you check the website, you'll have this information. For people that did not attend today, share this with your neighbors. Please, share the information, share the wealth, so we can all help one another here in Harford County. Thank you, timekeeper. Yes, ma'am.
I ask you a quick question. So I know we have something about medication and prescription drop-off. Is there a place that if you have like other medical supplies that, like gloves and all this stuff that you sometimes get for different things, that you can take that's not been opened and give to someone?
Is someone going to respond to that? The gentleman here?
Yeah, I'm a member of the Joppatowne Lions Club.
Right.
We will take shower chairs, anything like that. We will take gauze bench, stuff like that. Could be used by the local rec councils for their medical kits, those type of things. So again, the Joppatowne Rec Council will take some of that, and the Joppatowne Lions Club will take wheelchairs and any type of things of that nature.
Where would that
stuff
be?
like that.
How would they get in touch with the line? I guess you go online with.
You can just JoppatowneLionsClub.org. If we're right there.
You can Google that information, it will pop up for that.
Yeah, okay.
All right, let's move
job,
along
Ken.
because we're doing good so far. All right, Ron. All right, Ralph, you got your toes, it's Ron's turn.
Okay.
Time's up, Ralph.
Thank you. That's Dion, that's not me.
You already told me I blew 18 on my minutes.
Just brought some more flyers again on cooking safety. Reason being I brought cooking safety because we've had several fires recently. Food on the stove causes a lot of damage to homes. Okay. The other one is a new flyer that's just been put out by the Maryland State Firemen's Association on preventing barn fires and close the door Maryland. Okay, if you want to know, we talked about this before about closing the door when you go to sleep. They do save lives. We've had recent fires in Harford County, $675,000 worth of damage. Most recent one's one here in Edgewood, in Deerwood Drive. That was an incendiary device at a laundry room, and I believe the fire marshal's office did make an arrest on it. Again, time of the year, kids are out and about. Make sure you know where your kids are. And then we had another big fire, joint fire, up in Cottawinga, which is not here. But oddly enough, it was due to a discarded cigarette out on the deck. The person went to sleep, tossed the cigarette out, thought it went over the deck. Neighbors saw the deck on fire. Thank goodness for that. Talking over $20,000 damage there. Most of it was to the structure. And this is, if you can see this is what a cigarette butt can do on a dry deck.
Gives you cancer.
Okay,
Yeah.
so don't think you just call it, that's only a
Didn't do
cigarette
much
butt,
good
it's
to
just
the deck
ashes.
either.
Gloria, remember this, don't toss your cigarette ashes out the back. Just stop that smoke.
Okay.
We've had another recent fire, in Aberdeen, I know it's not here, on Hanson, I'm sorry, Edgewood. Hanson Road fire. I think you all know, heard about that one. $500,000 worth of damage.
Yeah.
What was the cause of that fire? Electrical shortage in the garage. Power strip shorted out. $500,000. Thankfully, everybody escaped safely. Nobody was injured, but it could have been worse. Thank God our volunteers do get out, in spite of what you think. They are professional, they do get out. A couple other things I just wanted to talk about. There was also a fire on Dorothy Avenue down in Joppa. That was a vacant home. Fire marshal believes it was set by juveniles. Okay, thank God nobody's living there. Okay, now as Nora alluded to, April is volunteer month. Okay, the fire department needs volunteers. What a better way to volunteer for your community than with the fire department? Yeah, I'm putting a plug in for the fire service, wherever you live in the fire service. We all need volunteers. Everybody doesn't have to run the fire truck or the ambulance. There's a lot of administrative work that needs to be done around the firehouse. Fundraising efforts, when they do bingos or breakfasts or dinners or helping out around the firehouse. You can always volunteer. It's a good way to give back to your community. And the other thing I'm going to talk about real quick is on April 8th we're having a total eclipse. This is nothing to play with. Make sure nobody is looking directly at the sun. And these glasses you're seeing in the stores that say they're for eclipse, use them, you're going to be in the hospital. Probably blind for life if it happens. It can happen. Okay, the hospitals are now gearing up for a lot of patients due to this eclipse coming, because we know people are going to do stupid things. We're human beings, we do stupid things. I know, I get where I am because I'm smart all the time. Believe me. And we can all say, even Dion can admit to that. I mean, really, we're human beings. But do not look directly at it. And I keep telling everybody, there's an old-fashioned way, I haven't seen it even advertised yet today, is to use get a shoebox, put a tiny pinhole in it, face it toward the sun, you can look in the shoebox and watch the eclipse as it happens in the back of the shoebox. It's very simple.
Joppatowne Library has a thing on Facebook about it,
Yeah.
showing the box.
You won't get hurt, but people are gonna look, people buy these glasses, I saw Amazon advertising these things, I've seen them at Walmart, Target. They are no good. Do not believe what you're saying.
I was gonna actually recommend the one thing. If you get it from an optical shop,
What's that?
if you get it from an optical shop at Walmart, little cheap glasses, $1.90, but you look, they say if you can through a pair of glasses, it's no good to you.
No,
And these
they're
$1.90
no good. They're gonna hurt your eyes, and like I say, the hospitals are gearing up. People do stupid things, unfortunately, so I'll keep it short, that's all that I really have for right now. Any questions of me?
Well, can you, as an official, go to certain businesses that we may see that are supporting that and trying to put them out there, and can we call and say, hey, this is a place, maybe you wanna go there and let them know, stop trying to sell this or this, cause people are gonna get hurt. Like, I know the 7-Eleven,
Walmart,
Edgewood,
Walmart.
of them, so, I mean, can you guys go out if we call and say, hey, we see
We
this?
don't have the authority to, we don't have the legal authority to, unfortunately. I'm putting out information based on what I know. I was at a conference this past weekend, all day Saturday, doing heavy rain down in College Park. There's also a new way, there's new processes for handling lithium-ion batteries. Don't have time to go into that tonight, but trust me, they're very dangerous. They're getting worse as we speak. Let's go on.
Jim,
Yeah, I'll be reasonably quick. In the October to February timeframe, Joppa Magnolia had 2,374 EMS calls, ambulance calls. That's about 460 or 470 calls a month. And by the time you take that on and add 2 hours for the call, hour to the hospital, and if they're held up at all, 2 hours to get back in the territory, that'll just tell you what's going on. And there ran 810 fire responses. I tell you that the Route 95 area, 152, has it's almost a daily occurrence when we have an automobile accident just in Joppa's area, let alone Abingdon, Aberdeen, Havertide that were out there was something. The other thing, two other things I want to touch on. We have the cadet program in the county, which now the schools, thanks God, Castley has sort of pushed it. And Steve Cox, who's Assistant Chief of Philanthropy, is also the #2 Maryland Fire and Rescue Institute instructor for the state of Maryland, run the program. Anybody that's a junior, girl, boy, doesn't matter, it's a junior, is interested, one, they gotta belong to the fire company, because then that way they're covered on the fire company insurance. And then the senior year, they're involved with taking a full EMT, firefighter 1, and hazmat. And they're gonna come in at, say 17 years old, and with any effort at all, another year at 18, they can join a career department somewhere if they want to, with another, they'll be heads up on training. It's a good way to go, but they can go to their counselor in the schools and get it, or the Volunteer Fire and Ambulance Association website, and that'll give it, or get a hold of Ron or I, and we'll get you in touch. Last thing I'll just pass along, the bridge accident, the boat and crew out of Joppa, Magnolia were dispatching that along with the whole countywide team. So at the 1:15 or something like that, they were already gearing up to go and go down there and help out. That does it real fast.
Okay. All right, Aaron, you're up. Ms. Beyonce, you gotta leave before then, so.
Good evening, thank you. I'll be really quick. I'm going to give Dion most of my time here. Ms. Robinson covered a lot on the Ag Preservation Bill. You did a great job on that. That was adopted on March 12th, and really what it basically does is allow the ag preservation inside the development envelope, and it reduces that threshold from 50 acres down to 20 acres. So it could be any classification code, any zoning classification code, whether it's B1, R1, whatever, and it turns it over to ag. So that was passed. The height monitoring was adopted on March 19th. That's going to be 6 locations that are authorized. It's may, not shall, in this bill. So each one of those are preset locations. A lot of that is driven by the tractor trailer issues they're having down in Spasucia and Perryman. So they're going to be height monitoring, just like you pass through a speed camera. It's going to be a height monitoring camera for these tractor trailers. It sends them a fine, and hopefully that curbs some of these tractor trailers traveling down roads they should not be traveling. So that was adopted. Now that's going to be a funding issue at this point since it's adopted. There's only 6 locations. What it's going to require is another sworn law enforcement to review those videos and issue those citations. So that's something that we're going to have to work through going forward. Bill 24007, comprehensive zoning review process. The master plan is being bypassed. Normally that's done first, but the rezoning process is before us. So right around June 1, they'll start accepting applications for comprehensive rezoning. What that really entails is if you have a piece of property and you want it upzoned or downzoned, you put that request in, and then the county evaluates that request and also has community input on whether that should be, right? So a lot of times when you upzone, you expand the permitted uses, and that infrastructure, obviously has a demand on that. So I look forward to receiving those, evaluating those, and involving the community on input on each one of those requests going forward. So that's a lengthy process, so stay tuned for that. The fire lane legislation 24008, the issue that we were having in the county is the state fire marshal was the only one authorized to determine the fire lanes in the county. And if it wasn't sanctioned by the state fire marshal, the sheriff's office had no enforcement mechanism to write tickets for it. So this legislation that's being introduced, that was introduced in the public hearing is tomorrow, allows the firefighters and fire companies to go in and determine those along with the county. That way the enforcement mechanism can be initiated. So I look forward to that public hearing tomorrow. There is Bill 24009, zoning cannabis dispensaries. That was introduced on March 19th. The public hearing is on April 16th. If you follow what the state has done, and I will come back to that, with that Cannabis Reform Act, that really allows this to open up inside the county. Currently, the Harford County has 5 dispensaries. That's going to be 8 dispensaries, a total of 179 cannabis dispensaries across the entire state. So, in addition, there's going to be discussion about on-site consumption facilities. That's what that bill is going to entail, because that's a county decision on the on-site, but the other Cannabis Reform Act mandatory. County Council President Pat Vincenti mentioned the floodplain management. We just got that bill. I don't know a whole lot about it. Looking forward to getting into that, reviewing that, as well as I'll let talk about the sediment control, because that's something that was near and dear to him and in the community down here. In the budget, Ms. Robertson mentioned that as well. The budget is going to be released most likely on April 15th. That gives the council roughly about a week to review the budget, really get into the details of it before we start having public hearings. And the public hearings, what that entails is each entity in the county, whether it's the schools or parks and rec, come before the council and explain their budget and why they need their budget, or advocate for more funds as well. So those are kind of the legislative initiatives going forward. The Cannabis Reform Act, I'm going to double back on that. I already talked about the dispensaries. Sales tax on that is 9%. Now, 35% of the funds that come into the state go to the Community Reinvestment and Repair Fund. The county, Harford County, receive about 3.38 of that. And that is basically driven for the communities that have been disproportionately affected by the cannabis enforcement in the past. So, in addition to that, aside from that 35%, the revenue sharing is 5% for the county. So we'll see what those funds look like going forward. Again, the on-site consumption is a county decision, and that we're going to be speaking about going forward. And finally, I'll cover the Opioid Restoration Fund. I don't know if Ms. Robertson covered that.
No.
She had a lot of information I was trying to keep track of. But going forward, when the big pharma got sued, each county got from that. So right now, I roughly want to think it's about $9 million. Going forward, that's going to be increments going for the next 18 years. Now, there's a certain prescribed resources that money can be used for, but the county is having open forums to discuss what that could be used for and get insight. So those are I'm assuming it's going to be on the as well. Tuesday, April 9th at Jarrettsville Library at 6 p.m. Wednesday, April 24th at 6 p.m. at the Havre de Grace Senior Activity Center. Tuesday, April 30th at Darlington Volunteer Fire Company, 6 p.m. Harford County Public Library and Joppa branch for here is May 14th is a Tuesday at 6 p.m. And then McFall Center is on Tuesday, May 21st at 6 p.m. So we'll be discussing the Opioid Restoration Fund. So with that, I'm going to defer the rest of my time to my good friend Dion Guthrie, and unless anybody has questions for him.
You hear that?
The gentleman got 3 minutes and you done used the
Can this
12.
information be found on the website, where they'll be?
The Restoration Fund?
Yes.
If not, I think it is, but if not, I will leave this here, and if you like, Paula, if you want to put this out, I have a list of it.
We'll give it to Gloria, and she sends out all of that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Give Debbie a copy too. So
Okay. Can I ask what this cannabis consumption facility is?
So it's like a bar for marijuana. They're able to go there and smoke marijuana. Best way.
They can't go home or in their car.
Do both.
And then have to get home.
I was gonna say, after they smoke, then they get
Then they
it.
gotta get home.
Yeah.
And they probably drink. Because usually the two go together.
Yes.
So you got, the officers will be even more busy. Because that's
And that's the problem, you know, the revenue sharing is a problem because, the resources needed, the social aspect needed is a county problem. We're only getting 5% of those funds to put those resources, that are needed. So that's something that we're gonna look forward to advocating for the most possible resources that we can. And me personally, will be advocating against the on-site consumption facilities. We need to wrap our heads around the dispensaries before we start jumping into the marijuana bar.
All right, you said there are currently 5 dispensaries. Is it mandatory that they go to 8?
Yes. Right now, they're driven off
50 people in line.
a lottery system for the whole state. And they preset how many they're gonna authorize. This is a state thing, how many they're gonna authorize in each county. And they have, in this lottery system, they have lots of different people submitting applications to have these on-site dispensaries or these dispensaries. And then they grant 3 for Harford County. Different counties are getting different amounts. I guess it's based off of population. So right now, it's gonna expand to 8 for Harford County. And that's just the dispensaries. There's also the manufacturing is gonna be an element. So the growers, that's gonna be in addition to those 8 dispensaries.
Well, can the county in any way, shape, or form said, we're not even happy with 5, we'd like to cut it back?
No.
No.
They're strictly enforcing the county's ability to be more strict on there to a point to where any laws or regulations can't exceed what they have for alcohol.
I know there's a lot of negativity about dispensaries, you know, that the use of things. There are a lot of people, especially people with a lot of medical issues, that benefit greatly from some of that. And I would like to say that if I had a choice of where I would like to see young people, or anybody for that matter these days, go get cannabis from, I would rather it be dispensaries than the Joe Blow on the street. They're putting all kinds of other stuff in it, which is then making EMS have to go out way more because of overdoses. So a lot of people are against cannabis use. There's a lot of medical benefit for a lot of people, but also it may be saving lives because they can go there to get it and it doesn't have something altered in it that now you're gonna increase EMS.
Let me throw out an interesting fact to you. People that do the manufacturing and the growing of these big marijuana facilities, interview any one of them. Ask them if they themselves partake of cannabis. Every one of them will say absolutely not. They do not, they don't use it, they don't smoke it, they don't do, yeah. As a matter of fact, and just real quick, when my husband was alive,
busy
and
selling
God
it.
knows, we had a small drug testing business. And when Rise across the street opened, they were sending their employees to us to get drug tested. And the first time they came in and, you know, I was doing a drug test and sending, you know, what the employer, so we could send results. And I'm gonna start working for Rise. And I thought, okay. And after the second or third person came in, my husband said to me, what is Rise? I said, it's high, honey. It's a dispensary opening on 40. They sent all of their employees to us to be drug tested so that they did not have any employees that dipped into their profits or smoked on the job. I found that almost to be like an oxymoron, but we test
It is
them all.
an oxymoron,
Yeah.
right.
Well,
We test them all.
Like cocaine dealers, crack, heroin, they don't dip in the product either because it's about making money.
Yeah. Well, I tell you,
Exactly what it is, it's
Yeah,
profit.
it's money.
you know, in a prior life, I did 12 years undercover narcotics. I'm well versed in the issues and the abuse that's taken place. And I can tell you one of the most largest components that we need with this is outreach and education. I know the Office of Drug Control Policy that the county administration has done a great job. We need to make sure we invest in that department, providing those resources needed in the educational for this younger population on the dangers of it. So that needs to be a constant push out there in the community. I look forward to supporting that. So.
Okay, Dion?
All right, I'm gonna give you time, Dion, but sorry.
My buddy will keep track of you.
Yeah, 'cause we're trying to get out a little bit early.
Don't cover anything that's already been covered, Dion.
Yes, sir.
That's it, then you're done.
Gotcha.
Good luck with that.
So subject keeper and timekeeper.
Just to touch on one thing, I wanted to ask the guy a question, but I didn't get a chance to get in. It's unusual, but one of the problems in our ERs, okay, which I've interviewed a number of doctors, both in Harford County and Baltimore County. One of the big problems in the ERs is the ERs are half filled with druggies. They come in there all drugged up, and they come in to get free drugs. And they just stay in the ER room until the doctors give them to get rid of them. And that's happening in our ERs. That's why our ERs are so packed, okay? Also, I don't want to step on Paula's toes. Paula, did you mention about who's going to be next month?
No, I'll let you do that. I was gonna do that when we came down to my turn.
Okay. Next month, we're going to have Alex Jacobs here as guest speaker. If you don't recognize that name, he's the guy that owns Copper Mine, all the Copper Mine facilities throughout the state. And they're just about ready to go full bore up here with Copper Mine. They opened, they had a soft opening last week, and one of the problems is first off, he ain't got enough parking. He's found that out already, and he only opened up with 3,000 people. 3,000 people came last weekend, and he's expecting when he gets going full bore there with all 8 fields, he's expecting 12,000 people a weekend. Okay, between Thursday and Sunday, every week. Okay, now what he ran into with this week was with only 3,000, he didn't have enough parking, and we had enough hotels. They were 500 rooms short in Harford County, which I said 9 months ago was going to happen, but they wouldn't listen. That they were 500 rooms short to have, and they had to send them people to Baltimore County and Baltimore City. They had to go commute from Baltimore City to come up here. So that's an issue we got right now. I just want to compliment Harford County. They just got a big award. Harford County earned statewide paving award for the road work that they've done recently this year in Joppatowne. The Harford County Department of Public Works has earned a 2023 Excellent in Paving Award from the Asphalt Association and Maryland State Highway Administration. The team was recognized for their work for the repair work and resurface of 21 streets in Joppatowne, Rumsey Island community. I know I live there, you have to tell me. The teams judges look for workmanship, smoothness, joints, texture, tie-ins, and other pavement determine a winning project. I'm just hoping that transfers out here to Route. I'm seeing already, of course, that's a state and Joppatowne's a county. But I'm driving up, I get out on 40, I drive up on 40 out in the speed lane on the left-hand side. I hope that's not a finish, I hope that's only the first surface piece. I hope it ain't the finished product, because it's terrible, okay? It looks like everybody likes the smaller version of the newsletter, so we'll keep with that size. There's a lot in there, so I'm not going to go over all of it, just touch on a couple of pieces. Attachment 1 is the budget work session that's in there that you may be interested in. The budget work sessions when they're going to be in the council chambers. There's going to be 4 budget work sessions going over all the budgets for Harford County. I meet with the county executive tomorrow at 4 o'clock before our council meeting to go over the budgets for what he has in mind for District A. And I also want to thank, there's a copy of it in the newsletter also, County Executive Cashley for his letter that he wrote on behalf of us for the raising of the 2 bridges, the Rumsey Island Bridge and the Bush River Bridge. So we can get them raised up. It won't be no good to just replace. We got to raise them. 125 years ago when he bridges, there was no power boats that go under it, but there were roofs. Now we got to get them raised up. My bill is coming in tomorrow. We've been on a long time waiting this. We're finally going to get it in. It's going to be in tomorrow. That's for the 20 acres. What you had see originally reserved. What happened at originally reserved is because the previous administration removed the language that was in the law that said that you could not build, regardless of how many acres you were talking about building, 50 acres, 100, whatever it is, you can only build 20 acres at a time. That law is in almost every single county in the state, and it was in ours. And it was far back as I could find, and I had our attorney, Charlie, to go over and look as far back as he could find, and it was in the law that you can only develop 20 acres at a time. When you're done that 20 acres and you sell that off, then you could do another 20 acres. So if you had 100 acres, it would have to be 20, 20, 20, 20. That out of the law, which meant, and they didn't put nothing back in it. They didn't put any limit on it. So you got originally reserved, who's got 100 acres, and they clear cut it all. That's what it gave them. When they taken that 20 acres out of there, that's what it gave them. And that's why we got the mess we got. So we got to put this 20 acres back because we got Abington up here. We got 100 some acres up there. We got to worry about what might be happening up there. And I don't care where you are in the county, not because you're just near the water. Anywhere in the county, this could happen. You know, they turn around and right now, because there's nothing in the law that says they can't clear cut their entire project. Real quick, Terry Hanley and Paul Magnus, they sent me some information, things that are on the agenda. I'll go over them real quick with you. BG&E will be installing 30 new poles and lights in Harford Square. Road resurfacing projects for Laura's Orchard will be coming on very soon. The street sweeping program is now going very well because we've got more sweepers. Roadside mowing this year, they say, will increase 3 to 4 times what it did last year. Fire hydrants, all the fire hydrants are going to recondition. There's 500 of them. They're going to be sandblasted and repainted so they will be more clear and people can see them. Marion Village Apartments broke ground, an exclusive renovation for seniors, a community 62 and over. And they say more is coming your way. With that, I'll open for questions before my buzzer goes off.
I have a question about
Yes,
copper
ma'am.
mine in soccer fields they're building.
What's that?
Copper mine in the soccer fields.
Yes. Well, there's soccer, there's baseball, there's football, they're a wide variety of, you can do anything there.
How much did they pay for that acreage?
They got it free. $1.
But
But
no, as a resident of this district, if I wanted to have something there, would I have to pay the fees?
there is a lot of times, like I've been over there numerous times, and there's fields that are vacant like all the time. You can go up there.
So I wouldn't have to pay?
No, if you don't, if there isn't, most of the people have to pay are the ones that are having games or having,
So is that why they got the land free?
Johnny can touch on that better than I can, because he's been the president of that rec, the Joppatowne rec for 35 years.
So the copper mine is a pay-to-play facility for the most part. If a bunch of kids wanna go up there on a Saturday during the day, if nothing's happening, they can get up a game, then they can play. If the rec council wants to utilize that facility, the rec council would have to rent the field space from them in order to use. So it depends on what you're talking about looking to try and do. If you want to just get a couple people together and go kick a ball around, that's one thing. If you wanna have an organized event, then you've gotta pay. That is they are there to make money. And they are, as Dion was saying, they don't have the parking, and they're actually, some of the tournaments that they are looking to do, they are looking to rent space from the high schools, as well as some of the local rec facilities for some of these tournaments, because they don't have enough field space to do some of the size tournaments that they want to do. So that number of people that Dion was talking about could increase if they get bigger. My grandson was involved with that soft opening He played in a lacrosse tournament there 2 weeks ago, so he was part of that opening. My son did complain about parking issues, but other than that, he said the facility itself was very nice.
It's a very nice facility, and I understand they might have gave you to $1, but so far they invested $12 million into that project. 8 fields, all turf, beautiful lighting.
That was federally owned property. That was Army property.
What you gonna say? Time's up?
Yep.
That's why I stood up. I'm falling asleep. I'm going home. I got work at 4:30 in the morning, so I gotta get out of here.
Thought you were retired over there.
I was. I'm helping some friends out. See you guys.
Bye.
Yeah.
Alicia?
Any other questions? No? Okay, good.
I got a question.
Aaliyah?
There's a question.
Oh, I'm sorry, question, all right, hang on one second, go ahead. Questions
We
real
got a
quick.
telephone pole down on 152 between Hanson and Classy Highway. It's been there for weeks.
Pardon?
A telephone pole down on Magnolia Road, going north from Hanson Road up to Classy Highway. It's been down.
We'll write that down.
It's been down
Been
there a
down
while.
for 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah, it was involved in an accident.
3 or 4 weeks.
Okay, we'll get on
They're originally reserved.
that.
I live on Hanson Road Extension.
Yeah, they actually.
Originally reserved,
One at a
still
time, you have to hear everybody.
being in Brown Lines.
We wanna finish up.
We'll get on that tomorrow.
It's too late now.
Very.
It's done.
Oh, it's
Originally
done.
reserved.
Pardon me?
It's done.
Oh, it's done.
Well, and make it quick, cause we have two
The
other minutes to go.
damage is done. It'll get
Already done.
It's not getting any better with the environmental part.
Well, but at least the pole's still down.
Well, both
That's a different.
Well, I'm trying.
That's the first I heard it. So.
Thank
Believe me, I'm here.
All right, Alicia? Aaliyah, I'm sorry.
That's all right. Hello,
And you're here, come on up front, you're here on behalf of Andre Johnson, I understand? No? Oh, yeah, but he's like, okay, come, I got you, I'm sorry. Because you're his name, so.
I wasn't expecting. Hello everyone, my name is Aaliyah. This is.
So you got a voter card?
This is. There you go. I'm telling you, he's gonna walk around and introduce himself to everybody.
Okay, just
Watch it happen. I am owner of Brigette's Bites and Delights, which is in partnership with OLBA. We have the mini cafe and loft right off of Rumsey Island. We actually just did over this weekend, this Saturday, just passed a community event that was free for the public, and we had over 100 community members come out. It was free. Easter egg hunt, we had 2 rounds, and the kids just got a chance to be
And where are
kids.
you located?
Rumsey Island, right at the bottom of.
Are you at the Hive?
No, right from the Hive.
Oh,
So
okay.
You know where Scott
OLBA,
Aylerson's building is?
yes,
They rent part of that.
and I'm downstairs. Again, as in partnership with OLBA, Opera Lady
Okay.
Business Association.
You're the one that makes all them good
All
desserts.
the good desserts.
Yeah.
I
Guys,
actually
go
bought
and
some
get
good
some of her
desserts
desserts.
for everyone here.
They're all handmade.
Yes.
Hang on one second, I'm gonna finish, hang on.
Private chef, a certified private chef, and a certified pastry chef. I teach culinary classes to kids and adults. I'm actually gonna be starting to do a partnership with the library to offer classes, Joppatowne Library, to offer classes, for adults that wanna learn, baking basics. So, like piping on cookies, piping on cakes. It's gonna be a 6 to 10 week course. I'm working with them to try to schedule the room out. And then we're gonna do some partnership with the Hive as well for bigger classes for decorating cakes, like tiering cakes and stuff like that. So keep an eye out for that. But yeah, thank you for all of the support, and the community really loved the event, so we're gonna try to put on more community events.
All right, you had a question?
No, I just had a comment.
Go
My
ahead.
wife and I had some of your cupcakes, and I have one of your sandwiches there. Sorry about the stain on the carpet.
I wonder where they came from.
But yeah,
I
as
think
you
they
can
want
see, it was
information
good.
at this meeting.
Absolutely.
Was it from the cupcake? No comment.
It was actually for the
So
sandwich.
thank you for all the support that the community has given
Well, thank you
me.
for being here for
Of
us.
course, and come by anytime. We're open Wednesday through Sunday, Wednesday and Friday, to give people time to get there after work, and Saturday and Sunday, 12 to 4.
Okay.
Oh, we have cupcakes in the back. I didn't know how many people was gonna be here, so You might wanna grab one before anybody else. Sit
down.
But thank you again, you guys.
Is there anybody here from our
Yeah.
school?
They're here.
already?
Alright, so real quick, before we finish up, we are really pleased tonight to have somebody with us that's gonna give us an update. Denise Perry is our Board of Education member and for District A, and I asked if she'd just give us a quick update on what's happening with the Board of Education.
I'll give one chance.
Sooner or later.
Well, there's no meetings tonight because the schools are closed, so I sent an email, said, come on up, come on down.
I just have a few things. Right now, we're meeting twice a month, but as soon as we get into, get closer to June, we're just gonna meet once a month for the board. So, and then we do meet over the summer. So, and we know we have, is it 3 magnet schools right here? 2 in Joppatowne and 1 in Edgewood, so I want to be aware of that if you've got grandchildren or children or something. Those very good programs. And we just voted on a policy for portable communication devices. Using cell phones in the classroom and the different consequences if they use them, you know, like if you're in a test or something like that. So they're really going to start addressing that. And right now we have policies. So our board policies, they'll go out for like a comment period or something like that. So they're posted on our website. So one we're doing right now is the evaluation of school library materials, which has been a big subject about what the books are and things like that. So we're still working on that. So it might be on our agenda at the next meeting coming up. So, and I have some business cards if you want to email me. That's the best place to, you know, if you have some questions.
Denise, can I ask you, since I know your meetings are the same night that ours are normally, so if I give you my email address, could you like, every month or every other month, just send me a quick update maybe, and then we can report it to the group?
Okay.
Okay, that'd be great.
Anybody have any questions?
Yeah, Bill?
Yeah, is that the, sort of the book banning bill?
You talking about for the library?
Yes, ma'am.
I mean, the librarians are the ones that's gonna determine as far as what books can be, I guess, placed on the shelves or things like that, and they have a process. We're in the process of drafting a policy to have the guidance in there as far as the books that will be in the libraries.
And what are you looking at?
Is that in the schools or in the public libraries?
This is the schools.
Okay, that's a cool.
School library.
And it's a draft, so it's not complete yet.
Yeah, I
So
saw it the
they're
other day.
Yeah, they're still taking public comment for the draft. If you wanna-
I have a copy of the school.
Yes, ma'am. To the best of my knowledge and recollection, contributing to the delinquency of a minor is still on the books. If the librarian is in charge of what goes in the library and is allowed to be checked out by minors, and some of this material is not fit even for adults, could the librarians be locked up for contributing to the delinquency of a minor?
Well, the policy isn't complete yet. There's no type of,
It doesn't matter whether or not the policy is there, if the librarians are
But we need
allowing
the
the
policy in order
pornographic
to
material to
enforce.
be in there, then they're the ones that should be charged with contributing to the.
That's a question for the police, not the school
no,
board.
no, it's
That's
a
illegal.
draft, so it's not complete. So it's
They can't
still
enforce it.
in the process of making the policy. So it's not complete yet. When that happens, we put our policies on the website and then people comment. And we've gotten numerous comments. So as far as anything beyond that, you know, we haven't voted on anything or anything like that. It's open, so like you just did, express your opinion.
Yeah. And I come to those meetings when we don't get out, I make my way meetings. My son is no longer in public schools, but I still want that information for our community so that it can be distributed appropriately.
Because we have like scholarships that, like I said, the magnet programs, a whole lot of other things beyond just that. But this was something that we were working on now.
They're televised, aren't they?
Yes.
And they're archived on, you can get them on.
Yeah, and you can express your opinion, over the web. You can, they give you, space to be able to do that.
Yeah, you have public comments, so some people can't make it to the board meeting, so you can do it virtually.
Okay. Well, yeah, that's great, and if we can, get you to just send me an update every couple months, just to tell them what's going on, that would be great.
Okay.
Thank you for coming tonight.
You're
I
welcome.
appreciate it.
A few community announcements. 1 week from tomorrow at Joppatowne High School is the first blood drive that we're going to try to have there. If we can get 40 people between students, teachers, members to give, $250 scholarship will go to the senior this year. So please tell your friends. You can sign up at redcrossblood.org or you can sign up on the blood donor app. Tom, should I announce your community cleanup, or are you going to do that? Okay. Community cleanup at Harford Square on April 13th from 8:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. If you want to RSVP for that, you email 755alliance@gmail.com. Tom will tell you where to go and what to do. Or anything, that's all provided, right? And then it's just to clean up the community. The next day on April 14th, I'm going to have a town trivia game over at the Peruvian restaurant, Mesa Bor Peruano.
Yes.
That's at 6 p.m. So if you want to come out to that, that's free to play trivia. Obviously, if you buy food, you gotta pay for that. But on April 25th and 26th at 7 p.m., there is a school play at Joppatowne High School. Edgewood had Little Mermaid this past month. Mutually Assured Destruction is the name of the play at Joppatowne on the 25th and 26th. That's Thursday and Friday night at 7 p.m. And then also, Tom is and Edgewood family is running a kite day on April 27th. So I really encourage you all to make sure you make your voices known, because I will tell you, what's going on right now is not good enough. You deserve better.
Jansen?
Just briefly, I serve on the Harford County Human Relations Commission. And you raised an issue, this young lady next to Bantam raised an issue regarding location of facility when it comes to healthcare. And we talked tonight about the decision-making process, about how do they make the decision about our facility similar to what they have in the other. And so what I've done is I've shared that information tonight with the Human Relations Commission, and we're gonna look at that. Not promising anything, but I think we need to try to address it from different areas. I don't think it's good enough to say, in my opinion, don't call an ambulance. That's just me. An emergency to me may not be an emergency to somebody else, but it's an emergency to me. And so, but if we can relieve the ambulance and the 911 center of some of the minor issues, if you will, by having a facility here, we should certainly look at that.
One of the things that I mentioned to Ken Ferrara, that in case he was not aware, the copper mine complex, about 600 to 1,000 people from in their full peak from Thursday to Sunday. So with sports and injuries, it would behoove them to look at an urgent care type facility down in here, because then they can rush the kids over or this or that, and along with the community needs down here. So I did share that, and I think he didn't hear that piece about all the activity happening at Copperline, but
There is one place right in across from CBS in the Woodbridge Center.
Infinite
Infinite Medical.
But their hours.
Right, their hours vary, but I don't know if a lot of people know that they're in there, and they're wonderful.
They are.
I've been there
They were
several
my
times, my daughter goes there all the time, she loves Dr. Fletcher, and they really So there is something there if you've got a sprain in
And
the
they do a
soil
lot
or
for the
whatever,
community.
yeah.
They actually help homeless. They
Yeah.
do a lot of
They're
services.
wonderful, they really are.
So maybe they can consider again, because doing testing, or doing COVID, they had with the grocery store, they use that as a medical facility.
Yeah, we have buildings like
Yeah.
that could be converted, so they don't have to build anything. They could just convert some of these buildings, do something else. But the other part is, this is also an area that needs, different transportation services. Like, they took back the buses that used to travel even in the evenings and at night. They decided they didn't need that, but I don't know when. Many years ago, we now have, as we were saying, way more families that have come out here. People are losing jobs or whatever situations are happening, so economy for, their financial gotten worse, that they don't have what they had. So maybe whoever is in charge of that department revisiting it now and saying, look, I think there's a need to
Well, I'm gonna see if there is, I'm gonna see if I can find somebody from the state, okay, that makes these decisions. If I do a bunch of Googling or whatever, come up with somebody that gets me to somebody, and see if I can't get someone here in the fall to our meeting that can address, our issues here in our district.
And that's good. The issue is, we're not gonna fight the issue of how many and what. The issue you raised was where.
Right.
So if you got 20, 20 of them are someplace else, and we don't have anything here.
Yeah.
And so that's what we want to address.
They should be where the people
And we
are.
can address the executive, because he is starting to do a lot of work down here on this end of the county, so that's something that he'll be here in June, put that under.
Supposed to be the next part of this project, and then that project didn't get any further. So that is an excellent spot to put it, it's right between Joppatowne and Edgewood, couldn't be anywhere halfway, and that would be a great spot.
Well, the one in Boston that they mentioned, it's just a vacant shop in the Boston Mall. There was an old Western, you know where the Burger King is on the corner? Well, it's right next to it almost, in that little strip mall.
Look, like I said,
we have just a little place,
Let's go.
The Mars, the old Mars.
Yeah.
We start with the county and then we'll move up to the state, we'll do what we gotta do.
So you just need a strip mall?
Jansen, I can work with you in trying to get, okay, Jansen,
Now, a lot of them are
we'll
all
work
in
on
here.
it together.
Yeah, I know.
And
All right,
they
what
can,
else, what, you got anything else?
You know what we haven't talked about lately is our library. Yeah, nothing. We just need to have a little more input, what's going on.
I'll add one thing, since 8 o'clock, Upper Chesapeake's been on red and yellow alert, which means they have no cardiac and no standard beds available. So, call it an
Let's
ambulance, we're
finish up.
sitting outside.
It's almost 9 o'clock, let's finish,
Anyway.
I was doing real good, folks.
You're still doing good.
You
I
are
was
still doing good.
Go ahead.
I'm done.
Oh,
2 minutes.
okay, Justin. I tried, folks, I really did. Just as a reminder, next month, like you said, is Alex Jacobs, who's the owner of Copper Mine. I was surprised too when I drove into Bel Air, because I take my daughter to the Wilbur Eye Clinic, that they're the people that go to the Bel Air Athletic Club. That's what I'm like, come on, that's not
Bought
mine
that.
too. So, yeah.
Bought that.
Hang on one second.
Put a
And
couple million into
then,
it,
I'll
and
take you 1 second. So that's gonna be next month's meeting. For our June meeting, like I say, Bob Castley is going to be here. I know we have a lot of issues. We're not gonna attack him. I'm gonna thank him first for everything, because in all honesty, he has been addressing a lot of issues at this part of the county.
Yep.
He really has. And I guarantee you that if we have an issue, he'll be more than happy to listen to it.
Yep.
Because I know that when they wanted to close the little bridge, on Philadelphia Road, Danny got right on that, sent a letter. I've seen I'm on his email, I got a copy of the letter he sent about the bridges. So anything that Dion Weber takes back to him, or Lenore takes back to him, he writes a letter and he acts on it, so he's really, He's got the Southern Cali Task Force. He's really trying to do a lot of stuff in this part of the community. And I thought it would be nice to have him come to finish out the season as our guest speaker. I'm sorry, ma'am, go ahead.
This was for the committee and for the board. When we have guest speakers coming to address different questions, can we already pre-give them those questions so when they can come with answers? Because what happens is when they come, if they don't come with answers, they just wait for 5 meetings later
That's a good,
to try to figure out.
that's
So
a good
if they
idea.
have it, they can already come with, we want answers. We keep having the same meetings.
I'll tell you what, you get you email them questions to me, and I'll make sure the speaker gets them beforehand.
Yeah, we can
So-
do that.
Because Bob asked me, said, well, what do you think I ought to talk about? I said, just talk about all the things you've done for us on the Southern County, and then open the question.
Yeah, and then we'll have whatever, you know,
You
issues.
got my email address? Email.
But,
Here
I'm
she is,
sorry.
right here.
Hang on 1 second.
But real quick, if just not for County Executive Castley, but for somebody like the speaker that we had tonight, Ken, this is a great place to meet that person, see that person face to face. But emailing after the meeting is where you get the answers to all the questions. Like if you have questions for him, he's gonna take your email. He's gonna go and so like this is a great public forum and everything, but like there's a lot of follow-up that can be done after these meetings, and there are a lot of people around this room that have gotten a lot of things done in the county by doing just that. So it's good to do it in advance, but don't think that this is your only shot. You can follow up with these people
And
after.
that is true, because when we had, Roxanne Lynch out here, and we were talking about the abandoned buildings on Brookside or whatever that I didn't check out, I got an email from her, people were talking about it. She sent me an email the very next day and said, I just wanna let you know that the inspectors are out there 2 days. So a lot of them take the questions that you have, go back and will send us the answers if they don't have them already. Go ahead.
Adam, what's the link to online?
It's youtube.com/EJJCAB, Edgewood, Joppa, Joppatowne, CAB.
Thank you.
It's on your
Also,
meters, I think.
Also, Dion, one of the residents was sitting there, she asked about, the fire lanes in our community, she needs the person's name that she can contact about them.
About, what you wanna know?
So
About
in
putting them
West
on
Shore-
the
State
move?
Fire Marshal.
Say it again.
State Fire Marshal.
Okay, and that's like our community is West Shore, so where the bus had that accident, is no indication for people not to park there. So the fire marshal.
Fire marshal in Bel Air.
What's his name?
Dexter Hodges.
Dexter Hodges, thank you.
But they got legislation.
Joppatowne High School having a bingo April 12th. Dion, I'm gonna give this to you,
I
give
saw
to
that.
your wife, okay?
Okay.
Right now, so you can answer us.
All right.
We invited him to come.
I did see the email.
Yeah, so please come out, it's gonna be fun, call the school and reserve a table for 8 if you want.
All right, before we adjourn, anything else from the community? Ben, do you have anything else you wanna add, or anybody else?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry, that dumpster, the April 13th, you can bring bulk trash for free disposal at Harford Square. Okay, so not only can you come and help clean up, but you can bring stuff that's been sitting broken in your backyard to disposal.
Anybody?
All right, so one thing, the Joppatowne Rec Council, we've been having problems with an illegal soccer program coming up and playing at Magnolia Elementary and Magnolia Middle Schools. They are not permitted by the Joppatowne Rec Council, nor have they gotten the use of facility forms taken care of by the Harford County Public Schools. They're consuming alcohol, breaking beer bottles, starting fires. And the school system contacted me directly, screaming and hollering about the mess they left up there, which I explained to the school system that the rec council did not do this. This past weekend, but the weekend before, there was over 1,000 participants up there.
Oh my God.
Most of them do not speak English. They had 7 food trucks. They had bonfire pits going. There were alcohol. We had a lot of problems. The sheriff's department, after me talking to them, I actually was on vacation down at Jersey Shore, but I was on the phone with the sheriff's department. They did eventually kick them off. So on Saturdays and Sundays, if anybody rides by Magnolia Middle, Magnolia Elementary School, and you see an unusually large group of people,
Right.
you'll see if it's a kids soccer program versus adults. But they have their own officials and everything else. This has been an ongoing issue for about 4 years now. And I know they're gonna continue to come back. So again, if anybody sees them, please email the rec council. I'll get that email, or my vice president will get that email. We'll get on the horn with the sheriff's department, get them back over there. They've destroyed 2 of our soccer goals. Pays for. They flipped the bleachers over. They. It's all
the outhouse.
They've destroyed our outhouses, our spot pots.
Are there signs that in both English and Spanish that say no trespassing or no?
That's the school system has to do that. They are destroying the rec council's property, okay, what we purchased,
And the schools.
and the schools, correct,
That's
correct.
disgusting.
So why can't they get arrested?
What kind of people can?
You got 1,000 people.
So it's very tricky. We are leased the property, the rec council's basically leased the property from Harford County Public Schools. But we don't own the property, so it's a thing that we have a use of facilities agreement with the school system, the rec council does. Monday through Sunday, we have use of that field from sun up to sundown. But if we're not using it, they wanna come in there. The big thing was, it's public property, they can do what they want. The school system, of course, don't have janitorial staff there on Saturdays and Sundays. The high school does, but the middle school and elementary school don't. So nobody's there watching it. So we were up there last weekend, or 2 weekends ago, with our use of facility forms in our hands, and we had to get and by the time all was said and done, there was about 10 sheriffs there. And they had to use Google Translate to basically kick them off the field. They come from, the majority of them are coming up from Baltimore City.
So they're illegal.
Well, yeah. Yeah.
Yes, but I don't want to, you know what I mean?
It is
I want to
what it
remain
is.
politically correct.
It doesn't matter, it is
But
what
they
it
may
is.
not be
That is what it is,
illegal.
correct.
People just because they don't speak the language, but there are people of all cultures that just do what they want.
They're
I mean,
illegally
that's
using the
it,
fields.
and that's what it is.
Leon,
There's
a solar farm.
taking away from saying it's illegal.
There's a solar
Because
farm.
I feel like that gets thrown around in the media so much that people,
A big
this
one.
media,
That's where they're having this.
everybody is being stupid.
Any which way, we've spoken to, our county executive, Bob Castley knows all about it. So does Paul Magnus, what's that? We've had a lot of meetings on it, the sheriff's been made aware of what's going on, okay? And the school system now is aware of the issues, and they have notified all of the area schools about what's going on. Thank you. And we basically have the right to kick them off of the fields.
Okay, let me say something. So as a member of diversity, equity, and inclusion, we will tread like on certain matters, but if there's no signage, just like we can Google Translate for them, they can Google Translate for us. So if there's no proper signage saying, no trespassing, they're gonna deem that as open access. So, and I get what y'all saying, but I'm on both sides. So we need to have proper signage, cause if not, it's nothing saying that they can't be there.
So
that goes to the school.
That goes to the school system, not Harford County Park and Rec, and not the Joppatowne Rec Council.
I understand. Yeah, and the only other thing I wanted to say, I know we're way over time, but Coppermine, if you go up to the Bel Air Athletic Club and you just wanna try it out, they have swimming and everything else, you get a 10-day pass for free. You just go there with your family and sign up.
All right, meeting is adjourned. Ron.
It's gonna be a big solar farm.
Yes, where is it? Right behind you,
Magnolia